You can hear me.
Yes.
Why do you eat people?
Not people. Brains.
We've taken over New York, Moscow, Tokyo. This is humanity's last stand. The beginning of the end.
I'm gonna kill you.
Resident Evil Retribution. It's time to follow Alice as she continues her fight against the Umbrella Corporation in the 5th installment of the Resident Evil movie franchise, Retribution. I've done a deep dive on this movie franchise a while back. If you're interested, you can go check that out. I am a big fan of Resident Evil, and Retribution is the first movie in the series to make it on one of my top 10 lists. Love it or hate it, Resident Evil has always been a big draw, and Retribution is no exception, raking in $240 million at the box office. If you too are a fan of Resident Evil, you'll find all those elements you love in this film. Alice, Wesker, the Red Queen, Leon, and Jill Valentine. Unique to this film are the Los Plagas zombies, basically evolved zombies controlled by a parasite. This movie comes to an end with an epic battle atop the White House. Check it out today on Netflix. The Woman in Black. This one is for the horror fan who enjoys a certain genre, one with historical context. Taking place in 1906 Edwardian London, The Woman in Black weaves a dark tale of loss and blind retribution. Starring Daniel Radcliffe, this film skips the gore and hits you with the chilling nature that comes with a good ghost story, and fills you with melancholy, matching the grey atmosphere found in England. Not to say this movie doesn't bring the scares, it does, just in a subdued, slow burn style. Number 9 on 2012's Best Horror list can be seen on video on demand. The Bay. Have you ever heard of isopods? If not, they are giant ocean-dwelling parasites that look like cockroaches. Some latch themselves to the host's tongue and steal all the nutrition from what the host eats until slowly forcing the poor creature to die of starvation. So yeah, that's pretty metal. The Bay, an eco-horror movie, focuses on these isopods, and they become the antagonists that create an epidemic killing hundreds in the small town of Claridge, Maryland. This film is a found footage style movie. The footage was confiscated by the government and then later leaked. The isopod horror is believed to be caused by local chicken farmers dumping waste into the bay. Chicken waste that also contains steroids. This movie is a fun time, found footage mixed with a documentary style. The concept is unique and will make you question what other horrors might exist created by man's hubris. Check it out for yourself with video on demand.
This is an emergency broadcast. There is a viral infection spreading fast through the capital.
Shut up, you soppy toes. Those things out there are zombies.
Cockneys vs. Zombies. This, in my opinion, is one of the better zombie movies to come out in the last 20 years, and it isn't on a lot of people's radar. I always like bringing this one up and hope someone will discover it and enjoy it as much as I do. The opening is pretty cool. 2 construction workers in the East End of London discover a sealed catacomb from 1666, sealed by a decree from King Charles II. And as any good zombie movie fan will know, instead of informing the authorities, they open it up, releasing the zombies inside, causing the infection to spread. This one doesn't take itself too seriously and definitely has a lot of laughs, but that doesn't take away from the plot. We follow a ragtag group of characters on their way to a nursing home to rescue Ray, grandfather of main characters Terry and Andy. Come to find out, the geezers at the home don't really need a lot of help and can hold their own against the undead. Battling their way through London, the survivors need to find a boat and make their way out of the city. Good acting, good zombies, and good laughs equal a good time. Check out Cockneys vs. Zombies for free on Tubi.
There's zombies everywhere.
Zombie, what are you going on about?
Oh, it's a zombie. Oh.
My vices include red wine, Poverty, lust for my professor, and an obsession with personal perfection.
American Mary. I tried to organize these movies in order of their US release date, and technically this one had a limited run in the States in 2013, but it was released in Canada in 2012, so I'm keeping it on the list for Best of 2012. Starring Katharine Isabelle from Ginger Snaps fame, this is a twisted tale about the underground body modification scene. Mary, played by Isabelle, applies to be a stripper to pay her way through medical school. I've never heard that one before. Here she finds her niche, performing operations on folks who would rather not go to the hospital, if you catch my drift. And if you don't, what I mean is that they are criminals. Mary soon experiences a bad encounter that leaves her scarred, but she decides to exact her revenge by practicing extreme surgeries on her abuser. Not a bad idea, tit for tat. This one is as alternative as you can get. Watch as Mary climbs to the top of the body modification world, introducing us to some of the most interesting characters in this scene. Watch as Mary dishes out revenge one stitch at a time. This one is not for the faint of heart, but if the subject matter suits you, American Mary is a hidden gem of horror. I highly recommend this title, and you can check it out on Tubi. The OG VHS. This found footage style movie was groundbreaking for its time and set the foundation for what would become a massive franchise. Tying together 5 different segments into a loosely connected storyline, this anthology-like movie struck a chord with horror fans in 2012. From the tapes being discovered to the horrors that are on display with each push of the play button, VHS proved itself as a fan favorite and still stands as a great movie over a decade after its release. If it's your first time watching, or if you'd like to revisit this trendsetter, you can do it today on Tubi. Prometheus. This sci-fi horror flick was directed by Ridley Scott. It is the 5th installment of the Alien film series with an ensemble cast, including a haunting performance from Michael Fassbender as David, an android who forms an ego. Prometheus refers to the Titan in Greek mythology who defied the gods and gave man the gift of fire. For doing this, he was sentenced to eternal punishment, the gods not wanting to see mankind gain knowledge and usurp them. This movie has so many important plot points, and an endless conversation can be had over its true meanings. To truly do this, it would need to have its own video to properly address all the cool shit going on with this movie. Today is just a short overview. Without a doubt, this is a sci-fi movie through and through. But I was amazed how the dark themes quickly changed this into one of the better horror movies to come out in recent history. This movie makes us question everything, really. Our creation, reality, mortality, and why we seek to learn the truth. Why do we want immortality, which goes against the natural state of death and rebirth? I could go on and on about this film, it's just that damn good. Not to mention the strange humanoid beings known as engineers. Just the presence of these beings fill you with awe and dread. I recommend Prometheus to any fan of horror and cinema in general. It truly is a modern day masterpiece and can be viewed on Hulu. The Innkeepers. The top half of this list is stacked. 2012 had some real bangers, and number 3 is no exception. The Innkeepers is a wonderfully told story, and lucky for us, that story is horror related. Following 2 staff members working the final week at the once grand Yankee Peddler Inn, we learn of the hotel's haunted history, and the 2 staff members, Claire and Luke's obsession with this fact. This is one of those movies that draws you in. You are completely invested in the story and the characters as you watch the slow downward spiral that becomes inevitable. As a veteran movie fan, you watch in real time the horrible fate that is about to come, almost manifesting it in your own brain. But when it does, it's still shocking, and that ending has stuck with me since I first watched The Innkeepers. This movie is by no means underground or underrated, but if you haven't seen it yet, do yourself a favor and head over to Tubi to watch this superb film. The number 3 best horror movie of 2012, The Innkeepers. The hits just keep on coming as the number 2 spot is claimed by Sinister. This movie follows true crime writer Ellison Oswald and his family as they move to a new house in Pennsylvania. Little does the family know, Ellison moved them here to further his research for his next novel that just so happens to involve the family that lived there before, the Stevensons, who were found dead on the property with the exception of their young son who went missing. That's kind of a dick move. Damn, Ellison. A curious side note about this movie is that it was written by C. Robert Cargill after a nightmare he had from watching The Ring. Pretty neat how one horror movie can inspire another. So eventually Ellison finds old family films in the attic, which turns out to be snuff films, chronicling past murders dating back to the 60s. After this development, we travel into the world of the occult and the pagan Babylonian god Bagul, the eater of children. This is one nasty dude, and now he has his gaze fixed on the Oswald family. This twisted movie ends in a tragic way, but at least the answers we seek are answered. Sinister is a masterclass in horror and can be seen on Amazon Prime.
The lambs have passed through the gate. They are come to the killing floor.
Let's get this party started!
The #1 horror movie of 2012 goes to the one and only The Cabin in the Woods, starring the Norse god himself. I just rewatched this one, and yeah, it still holds up as one of the best horror movies of the 21st century, hands down. With a story within a story unfolding, never having a dull moment, while bringing the laughs with the scares makes this a horror lover's dream come true. The concept for this one is ingenious. An underground network of office workers watch on as our group of friends make their way to a secluded cabin in the woods. Unraveling the truth behind this is insane, as they rig the system so that the group of friends will meet a horrible end. Why, you may ask? Well, to placate the ancient gods so they don't destroy the world, that's why. A sacrifice must be made, and our group fits the bill perfectly. The whore, the scholar, the fool, the athlete, and last but not least, the virgin. As the story unfolds, we understand what is happening and we watch to see if their fate can be altered, or is it already too late? The monsters in this one come in all varieties, and it's truly a trip to see them all. By the time Dana and Marty make it down the elevator shaft, this movie ramps up the violence and gore, leading to an amazing ending. This whole movie is great, but the ending truly sets this movie apart from its peers. Do yourself a favor and check this one out on Amazon Prime. There we have it, the top 10 horror movies of 2012. If you like this content, check out the other videos in my Horror Rewind series, where I take a look at the 10 best horror movies from each year. Until next time, this is Planet Phobia signing off, and as always, wishing you good luck on your horror journey.